Sure. Here's a 500-word story centered around the topic. 5 methods to control stress in the elderly. No one tells you. Told through a heartfelt and relatable lens. The secrets grandma never knew she needed. When Clara turned 74, the world felt heavier than it ever had. Retirement was supposed to be peaceful, filled with garden walks, family visits, and long afternoons reading by the window. But instead, Clara often felt lonely, overwhelmed, and uncertain. Her kids were busy, her friends were scattered across cities and time zones, and the news never seemed to stop delivering bad headlines. Old age isn't what I thought it would be, she confessed one day to her granddaughter, Lena. Lena, a wellness coach in her 30s, smiled gently. You know, Gran, there are things I share with my clients about managing stress that I wish more older adults knew. Clara raised an eyebrow. Like what? Lena pulled out a notebook and started listing them. Here are 5 methods to control stress, especially for people your age. No one talks about them, but they work. 1. Gentle routine, not strict schedules. You don't need a packed calendar, Lena explained, but waking up, eating, and sleeping around the same times each day actually calms the nervous system. Clara thought about how she used to stay up watching TV until 2 a.m. and wake whenever she felt like it. That night, she decided to try Lena's advice and felt more rested than she had in weeks. Touch therapy, even self-touch. People underestimate the power of touch, Lena said. A gentle hand massage using a warm compress or even wrapping yourself in a heavy blanket sends calming signals to the brain. Clara remembered the lavender-scented lotion in her bathroom. That night, she massaged her hands slowly, and for the first time in days, her mind stopped racing. Breath-body connection. Not just deep breathing, Lena clarified, but intentional movement with breath, like chair yoga or even just stretching your arms while exhaling. Lena showed her a simple seated routine, and Clara was surprised at how much better she felt afterward. Her tight shoulders loosened, her chest felt less compressed. 4. Music from your youth. Play songs that meant something to you when you were young. Your brain connects with those rhythms emotionally. It brings back feelings of safety. Clara dug up an old record of her favorite 1960s jazz singer. As the music filled the room, she found herself smiling without realizing it. 5. Talking without trying to be strong. People your age grew up thinking they always had to be tough, Lena said softly. But sharing how you really feel, even if it's just a little each day, releases the tension you carry inside. Clara nodded. It had been years since she allowed herself to admit she felt scared or sad. That night, she wrote in a journal. Not for anyone else, just for her. Weeks passed, and Clara felt lighter. She still had hard days, but now she had tools, secret ones in a way, ones no one had ever told her about. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was just surviving. Absolutely. Here's an additional 500-word paragraph that continues Clara's journey, deepening the emotional transformation and reinforcing the power of those 5 stress control methods for the elderly. The shift in Clara's daily life was subtle at first. Small ripples, barely noticeable to those around her. But inside, she felt something unlocking. Each morning now began not with anxiety, but with purpose. She woke with the sun, made herself tea, and played soft jazz as she followed her simple routine. There was something sacred about it, brushing her hair slowly, folding her blanket neatly, watering the potted plant by the window. These little acts weren't chores anymore. They were anchors, reminding her that she was still here, still present, still in control. What surprised Clara most was how her mood changed the energy in her home. The air felt lighter, the silence less hollow. Her cat, Mabel, no longer darted anxiously through the halls. Even neighbors who passed her porch noticed the change. "You're glowing," one of them remarked, handing over a piece of mail mistakenly delivered. Clara chuckled. "I just learned how to breathe again," she replied. She realized that so much of the stress she'd carried wasn't just emotional, it was physical. The tension in her shoulders, the tightness in her chest, the shallow breaths she hadn't even noticed she was taking. The stretching and breath work had begun to ease those aches. Some days she only managed a few minutes, but she stopped punishing herself for not doing more. That, too, was part of the healing, letting go of the pressure to be perfect. Clara even began to write letters again. Not emails or text messages, but handwritten notes. She sent one to her old friend Margaret, who had moved to Arizona a decade ago. In it, she shared how she was finding joy in simple rituals, music, and moments of calm. Margaret replied a week later, "Your letter made me cry, Clara. I thought I was the only one feeling this way." That was when Clara understood something powerful. What she had learned wasn't just helping her, but it could help others too. She began hosting little tea chats every Thursday on her front porch. A few neighbors joined, then more. At first, they talked about books and family, but eventually the conversations turned honest, about loneliness, about loss, about the fear that comes with aging. Clara shared the 5 methods Lena had taught her and watched as her friends' eyes lit up with recognition and relief. They weren't just tips, they were lifelines. One rainy Thursday, Lena stopped by to visit, umbrella in hand. She saw the laughter spilling from the porch, the gentle music playing, the group of older adults chatting like teenagers at a cafe. She looked at Clara with admiration. "You didn't just learn to manage your stress," she said. "You created a little sanctuary here." Clara smiled, warmth filling her heart. For the first time in a long time, she felt not just useful, but radiant. Not invisible, but seen. The stress wasn't gone completely, but now she had tools, community, and self-compassion. And that made all the difference. Would you like me to turn a sample from? Of course. Here's a 100-word paragraph to bring the story to a soft, meaningful close. As the seasons shifted and spring gave way to summer, Clara found herself feeling something she hadn't in years. Hope. Not the wild, youthful kind, but a quiet confidence that she could meet whatever came next with grace. Her porch chats continued. Her mornings stayed gentle and her heart remained open. Aging, she realized, didn't mean fading. It meant transforming, slowing down just enough to hear the wisdom inside. With every breath, stretch, and shared moment, Clara reclaimed her peace, not as something lost and found, but as something she had carried within her all along, just waiting to be awakened.